Well, good evening. I'm your host, Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Podcast. Tonight's presentation is 7 ways why soul tattoos unknowingly manipulate your business, lowering profits. What are soul tattoos? Soul tattoos are invisible emotional imprints etched into breath, muscle, and nervous system. Before thoughts inform their inherited reflexes, ancestor echoes, and parent postures that loop through your reactions, shape your decisions, and sculpt your comfort zones without conscious consent. You never choose them, you perform them until you detune the broadcast and rise into sovereign rhythm of your rock and roll stroll through life. Soul tattoos manipulate business at the root of decision making, pricing, posture, and presence. They loop ancestral caution into your leadership rhythm. You think you're steering the ship, but you're echoing inherited tides. They root clarity into hesitation, innovation, and into repetition, and sovereignty into survival mode strategy. Why soul tattoos unknowingly manipulate your business, lowering profits. Soul tattoos route decision making through inherited caution, never intuitive clarity. You think you're choosing strategy, yet you're reacting to ancestral alarms. Emotional imprints loop hesitation into your leadership rhythms, causing missed opportunities, delayed launches, and overanalysis disguised as wisdom. Profit shrinks when presence is replaced by program pause. Emotional snapshots shape your pricing, posture, and pitch without your consent. Emotional uh, tattoos and emotional snapshots, they actually control your life without us realizing they're there. But the soul tattoos and emotional snapshots are the first picture you get. And for me, I understand my subconscious mind, and a lot of that has to do with my body. The body reacts quicker than the mind. It comes in, but it comes back up. Emotional snapshots shape your pricing, posture, and pitch without your consent. Unresolved imprints from rejection, scarcity, or shame manipulate how you value your work. You undercharge, over explain, or defer visibility because your nervous system is loyal to someone else's survival story. Business becomes a performance of inherited limitations, never a broadcast of maverick brilliance. Comfort zone programming turns innovation into repetition. You call it consistency, but it's choreography. Soul tattoos loop familiar patterns that feel safe but stall expansion. You recycle campaigns, avoid bold pivots, and mistake obedience for brand integrity. Profits plateau because your enterprise is echoing emotional residue, never riding the sovereign ignitions of your intuitive gumption, naturally innovating today, instigating omnific nerve. Why soul tattoos lower profits. Well, soul tattoos route leadership through inherited hesitation, never maverick clarity. You think you're making bold decisions, yet ancestral alarms loop through caution into your strategy. You delay launches, second guess pricing, and defer visibility, never from logic, but from emotional residue. Profits shrink when presence is replaced by programmed pause. Emotional imprints manipulate your value rhythm, undervaluing brilliance over explaining worth. Soul tattoos etched from rejection or scarcity shape how you pitch, price, and posture your way. You serve inherited modesty instead of sovereign magnetism. Business becomes a performance of ancestral limitation, never a broadcast of intuitive elevations. Comfort zone programming turns innovation into repetition, stalling expansion. You recycle campaigns, avoid bold pivots, and mistake consistency for integrity. Soul tattoos loop familiar patterns that feel safe, yet sabotage growth. Profits plateau because you enterprise echoes emotional choreography instead of breathline brilliance. Why ancestor programming, muscle memories, third world enslaving mindsets, poverty consciousness, and scarcity unknowingly control our life and control and manipulate our life in the present moment. Ancestor programming loops through muscle memory faster than thought. Route your choices through inherited caution. You think you're deciding, yet your nervous system is echoing survival mode scripts passed down through generation. Scarcity is never a mindset, it's a reflex rehearsed in silence, shaping how you speak, spend, and show up. Poverty consciousness is never just about money, it's a broadcast of unworthiness, etched into breath and tone. It manipulates your posture, pricing, and presence. You undercharge, over apologize, and defer visibility, never because you lack skill, but because your body remembers a lineage that feared abundance. And that is something, that's the thing. We try to work on the mind about abundance, but it's really the body. And that's an inherited loop from our parents, society, and the way we do things. And something else I'm going to interject in here is we've never embedded anything. We've inherited everything from our parents, society, the past, and that's how we stay the same. Scarcity loops enslave your mindset by disguising hesitation as humility and fear as logic. You call it being realistic, but it's ancestor caution, rerouting your expansion. Until you detune these loops, turn your brilliance into performance, your intuition into pathways, and your sovereignty into the seashores of stunning success, you stay the same. Why today's thinking, knowing, learning, knowledge, and thoughts are unknowingly controlled and manipulated through muscle memory, soul tattoos, indoctrinated education, parent programming, and inherited knowledge. Most thinking is a reflex rehearsed through muscle memory, never sovereign cognitions or intuitive ignitions. Before thought arrives, the body loops ancestor reactions, soul tattoos etched from emotional residue, routes logic through inherited survival. You believe you're analyzing, yet you're echoing nervous system trained. Your nervous system is trained by someone else's fear. How's that happen to you? Is education someone else's fear that we inherited? I don't know. It is to me, but that's a question for everybody. Education installs obedience disguised as intelligence, teaching performance, never presence, indoctrinated schooling rewards memorization and punishes contradiction, and is afraid of friction. It trains minds to rehearse certainty, never ignite inquiry. Knowledge becomes a ritual of approval, sculpted by institutional choreography rather than intuitive elevation. Parent programming and inherited knowledge shapes your identity before you speak. Something I really realized from the womb to 5 years old, we basically inherit all of our parents' subconscious mind programming, and that's pretty much where we stay. And I've really opened up to understand I do a lot of things like my parents did, the good, bad, or indifferent. But it's just understanding and admitting you encompass it so you can rise out of it. You absorb beliefs, postures, and emotional reflexes through tone, silence, and repetition. Even your wisdom loops through ancestral filters until detuned. Your learning remains a broadcast of survival, never a rhythm of sovereign savvy. Why time moves forward as the world is stuck in ancestor programming. Time advances, but reflexes repeat. Most people live in a loop, never a line. The calendar flips as the nervous system reruns ancestral alarms. Something you never want to say is rerun because you're going backwards, because you're doing it right here. So you're running the fears, you run the ancestral alarms, decision echo. Inherited fears never present clarity. Progress becomes performance, and innovation is just repetition with a shinier branding. Ancestral programming disguises itself as tradition, wisdom, and identity. People mistake survival mode reflexes for cultural pride or personal truth. They defend emotional residue as legacy, looping outdated beliefs into modern systems. Time moves forward, yet the mindset remains archived in ancestral caution. The mind is a replay of yesterday, and whatever is the most good, bad, or indifferent, but whatever the mind thinks that fits this, it's going to replay it in the here and now. Linear time never liberates a looping nervous system. You age, evolve, and accumulate knowledge. As your reactions rerun your life, remain rehearsed until soul tattoos are composted in breathline, expanded into breathline clarity. Rises the world, keeps mistaking movement for awakening. Why business, corporations, MBA, third world enslaving mindsets, and doctrine education loop scarcity and poverty consciousness, and they are manipulated by muscle memory, soul tattoos, third world enslaving mindsets, loop scarcity, poverty consciousness. Muscle memory loops ancestral hesitation into corporate strategy, rerouting innovation through survival mode reflexes. Business decisions echo emotional residue, never sovereign clarity. Leaders trained in MBA logic perform metrics while their nervous system rehearse inherited scarcity. The boardroom becomes a stage for ancestor alarms disguised as executive insight. Soul tattoos etched from colonial trauma, third world programming shape enterprise posture and pricing today. Entrepreneurs absorb scarcity through tone, silence, and generational caution. Even bold ideas are filtered through emotional imprints, and that fear abundance. Business becomes a ritual of restraint, never a broadcast of brilliance. Indoctrinated education installs obedience as intelligent, looping poverty consciousness into global enterprise. Where do you see that going on today? It teaches represent, repetition over rhythm, certainty over inquiry. Students learn to perform approval, never ignite intuition. Corporations hire from this loop, perpetuating systems that reward conformity and punish sovereign detours. Until all this is detuned, profit remains capped by emotional choreography. How is your profits in your business stay the same? This one is a very awakening for me. Why soul tattoos, emotional snapshots, nervous system, body, stop intuition, imagination, inspiration, and fashion designers' dexterity to flow through me. Soul tattoos route intuition through ancestral alarms, muting the whisper before it becomes a spark. You think you're sensing, yet your nervous system is rehearsing inherited caution. Emotional snapshots etched from rejection, shame, or survival loop hesitation into your creative rhythm. Inspiration flinches before it forms. The body remembers what the mind forgets. The body remembers what the mind forgets. Dexterity is detoured by emotional residue. Fashion design demands fluidity as muscle memory loops rigidity. Moments meant to sculpt brilliance are rerouted through ancestral flinches. You reach for innovation, but your fingers echo in lineage that feared visibility. Imagination collapses when emotional choreography hijacks the present. You try to create, yet your nervous system performs protection. Soul tattoos turn bold ideas into rehearsed restraint. Until detuned, your designs echo survival, never sovereignty. And your artistry remains a loop, never a liberation. Why energetic liberation, maverick questions, energized listening, politically incorrect inspiration, autonomous expansion, cowboy wisdom, outlaw optimism, and revolutionary revelations rise me out of the manipulating control of my soul tattoos, emotional snapshots, nervous system, and body. Energetic liberation composts emotional choreography into breath-line divine brilliance, into celebratory clarity. Routing your nervous Reroute your nervous system from your reflex to your rhythm. It never soothes the soul tattoos, it detonates them into smithereens. Through maverick questions and outlaw optimism, you stop performing inherited ache and start broadcasting sovereign ignition and emancipating energy. You rise never by healing, but by detuning. Politically incorrect inspiration and autonomous expansion dissolve institutional obedience, activating intuition beyond indoctrination. You never seek approval, you spark revelation. Energized listening tunes you to hearkens you to the whispers beneath the programming, where imagination and innovation flow unfiltered. You stop looping ancestral alarms and start sculpting sovereign artistry of here and now. Cowboy wisdom rides you past the edge of conformity, where revolutionary revelations ignite dexterity beyond survival. You never learn, you unloop the doopy doo of yesterday, and you never grow, you compost into a fertilizing pile of enterprising foresight to light your light of life. You rise never by adding, only by subtracting what was never yours. The body stops flinching, the breath stops bracing, and your presence becomes a broadcast of maverick knowing. Why education and business, manipulated by the soul tattoos, emotional snapshots, nervous system, body, and comfort zone programming, controlling the operations of your business. Education installs obedience. As in, as intelligent, then soul tattoos route that obedience into your business rhythms. You think you're leading with logic, yet your nervous system is looping institutional reflexes. Emotional snapshots form schoolroom shame or parental corrections shape how you pitch, price, and posture your life. Business becomes a performance of approval, never a broadcast of maverick clarity. Comfort zone programming disguises ancestral hesitation as strategic caution. You recycle campaigns, defer visibility, and undercharge brilliance. Never from the lack of skill, but from muscle memory, rehearsing inherited restraints. I've witnessed that in my own life, and this is liberation for me. The body flinches before the mind decides. Your enterprise echoes survival mode choreography while calling it consistency. Social soul tattoos silently script your operations, routing innovation through emotional residue. You avoid bold pivots, over explain your value, and hesitate to scale. Never because the market resists, because your nervous system remembers rejection. Until detuned, your business loops ancestral ache instead of riding breathline brilliance. Why soul tattoos, emotional snapshots, nervous system, body, and comfort zone programming are hidden saboteurs of your life and your business. Soul tattoos route clarity into caution, looping inherited hesitation into your leadership rhythm. You think you're making sovereign decisions, but your nervous system is rehearsing the ancestral flinch. Emotional snapshots etched from rejection, scarcity, or shame silently script your posture, pricing, and presence. You never sabotage success, you perform survival. Comfort zone programming disguises fear as logic, stalling expansion while calling it stability. How's that done for you? Stalling expansion, calling it stability. You recycle strategies, defer bold pivots, undercharge brilliance, not from the lack, never from the lack of skill, yet from muscle memory, looping, and restraint. The body flinches before the mind decides. Business becomes a ritual of repetition, never ignition. Emotional choreography scripts your operations without your consent. You hesitate to scale, over explain your value, and shrink visibility, never because the market resists, but because your nervous system remembers ache until detuned. The, the These internal saboteurs loop through every decision, silently capping your expansion. Why soul tattoos, emotional snapshots, nervous system, body, and comfort zone programming looped yesterday's manipulating, thinking, knowing, learning, knowledge, thoughts, initiating stress and overthinking in your daily encounters, experiences, and events. Soul tattoos loop yesterday's ache into today's logic, rerouting, route your clarity through ancestral residue. You believe you're thinking freshly, yet your nervous system is echoing emotional snapshots from the past, from past rejection and scarcity or shame. Each encounter becomes a rehearsal, never a revelation. Stress is never situational, it's a broadcast of unprocessed memories. Comfort zone programming disguises inherited flinch as discernment, stalling intuition while calling it wisdom. You overthink simple choices, brace for imagined backlash, and second guess your knowing. Never because the moment demands it, it's because your body loops yesterday's caution into today's cognitions. You never learn, you loop. Your loops are inherited uh, knowledge from the past. Your nervous system performs protection while your mind calls it preparation, creating the friction between presence and perception. You meet the fresh events of your life with old reflexes. Conversations trigger rehearsed defenses. Opportunities activate ancestral alarms until detuned. Your thoughts remain choreographed by yesterday's ache, and your brilliance remains braced behind emotional residue. Something I've really picked up in this doing this soul tattoos is I repeated I didn't realize how much I was repeating my parents in life. And that's the thing. We recall our parents' stuff, and that's how we do it. But you always want to remember the body reacts before the mind, and all the unanswered stuff in your life is hidden in your body. Every unanswered question of your mind is hiding in your body. So with that, I'm going to say good night, and may your life be as blessed as you are a blessing to me and the world. Thank you.